Hi, I'm Gavin Harrison, and you are listening to the Progcast.
Welcome back to another episode of the Progcast. And as you heard, I'm really excited to have the drummer extraordinaire Gavin Harrison calling from the UK today. Gavin, how are you? Great to have you on the Progcast.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thank you.
You have been busy in this weird year of 2020, and there is one particular album that's coming out on December 11 that we want to focus a little bit on today because it's a very special project, I think. And the album's called Chemical Reaction, and it's a collaboration with the bass player Antoine Fafard. Maybe you can tell us a little bit how you got involved with this project and what we can expect from it.
Yeah, sure. I met Antoine about 8 years ago. I played on one of his albums that had a different drummer on every track. So I did one song for him, and I was very impressed with his writing and his bass playing. And then in 2016, he said he was going to try an experiment with recording two of his pieces with a full 60-piece orchestra. And would I play drums on it? So I said, yeah, sure, that would be very interesting. And it was very interesting. But we didn't know where to go. After the two orchestral pieces, that was kind of put on a shelf. And then last year, or maybe it was the beginning of this year, I can't remember, he said he'd written some pieces for string quartet, and maybe we could put the whole project together with the two orchestral pieces to have bass and drums, integrate with this sort of classical situation, with string players. So that's how this project came about.
Sounds very, very intriguing and very unusual. I think it's safe to say that this is the most artistically and different album that I've covered so far here on the podcast. The compositions are from Antoine, right?
Oh yeah.
And so when did the recordings happen? I mean, you said it started like the second part with string quartet was only like came into play at the beginning of this year.
Yeah, I think the six pieces with the string quartet started around February maybe, and all the way through the lockdown period. The orchestral pieces took place in 2016. So yeah, it's been a nice, interesting musical challenge to try to find a way to fit, my drumming style into this kind of music.
Have you ever done anything like this before, or was it totally new for you as well?
I did an album with a very interesting Russian pianist called Gleb Kolydin, and he has a band called I Am the Morning, and I think I played on two I Am the Morning albums, and then Gleb, who is a brilliant classical pianist, he did a solo album, and I don't think there's an orchestra on it, but the approach of classical music with drum set is quite a strange match, because the drum set was never really perceived or meant to be part of classical orchestrations or even classical compositions. So it's nice to find a way where not many people have been before. It's nice to find a way to fit your own personality into that forum.
Yeah, I would definitely second the shout out to Gleb here. I absolutely loved his solo album. That was quite an artistic achievement and something very, very unique. And yeah, I Am the Morning actually have a new EP coming out in December as well, a little Christmas EP. But I do really hope that there is gonna be more from Gleb in this style. Yeah, but apart from Chemical Reactions, which is gonna be out on December 11th, and we're also gonna release this episode, publish this episode around this time. It's not the only album that you've played on this year, right?
That's right. I mean, I've been obviously finished the Pineapple Thief album this year, but some of the albums that were released this year, of course, I worked on last year. Some of them, take quite a bit of time to actually come to the finish line. I think Dave Stewart's album, Dave Stewart, Barbara Gaskin album, that took about 9 years.
Wow.
I worked on that record in small amounts over those 9 years before it actually got released. So, yes, I've been playing on the Pineapple Thief record. And
that was the third Pineapple Thief record with you on drums, right? The second
That's right,
with you as a full band member.
That's right. Yeah.
So yeah, I've been wondering how was it for you to come into this band, and because I think there's a lot of people out there who might have looked down on the Pineapple Thief a little bit, as a I don't want to say cheap copy, but like the little sister of Porcupine Tree. And so I've heard a lot of people say, oh, now they got an upgrade with you back when you joined for Your Wilderness, and then you even joined them as a full band member, which I thought was cool. And I saw you playing with them on 2 occasions on 2 tours, and yeah, it was a great show. And I have to admit myself that I never actually went to check out the music properly, the studio albums from the Pineapple Thief, and I did in the meantime. And while it's beautiful, the live show gave me more, if you know what I mean. It was more engaging for me.
Right. I mean, I don't think of the Pineapple Thief as the little sister to Porcupine Tree at all. And I don't really compare music or genres or bands. If I see something or hear something in a musical collaboration that's interesting, I'm very happy to be part of it. I didn't know who Gleb Kaliden was before he wrote to me on Facebook. I didn't know. Never heard of him, some guy in St. Petersburg. He's a musical genius. You discover some really interesting people that way. And I knew about Pineapple Thief because they were on the same record label as I have been associated with K-Scope Records many times. But I didn't listen to any of their stuff. And then out of the blue, Bruce Sword contacted me and said, would you be interested on playing on our new record? And he sent me the songs, and I really made a good connection with those songs. It's as simple as that. It's not about how big the band is or the status or the money or any of it. It's purely just about the music for me.
I really like that approach. There was another album this year that you were playing on, and it's from someone that you've known for a long time, Jacko Jakczyk, of course.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I've known Jacko, probably since about 1983. we're actually from the same town, and I met him in a music store. And we started working together back in '83. And we've worked on all sorts of projects and albums. We were both in Level 42 in 1994. We worked for an Italian singer called Alice in 1990. We've done all kinds of things, and eventually, 2014, we ended up in King Crimson together. So yeah, I've played on a lot of Jacko's material.
Yeah, actually, we had Jacko on the Progcast as well, for his solo album, for his new solo album, Secrets and Lies, and he told us a funny story that apparently you told someone backstage at the King Crimson tour not too long ago, and that was about your first studio gig with him, and you were like complaining that it's like boring to play the same pop song over and over for the whole day.
Oh, no. What that story is, because, you know, my father was a trumpet player, and in the late 70s, I used to go and watch him record at the BBC. And then I think 1979 was the first time my dad got me to play with his band at the BBC. So my early memories of making sessions were BBC sessions where there was a 3-hour session, you know, 10 till 1 or 2 till 5, and you rehearsed and recorded, and it was mixed live, 10 songs. And quite often you'd finish in under 3 hours. So I was used to the idea of a recording session being 3 hours long and you record 10 songs. And the first time I worked with Jacko, yeah, we, you know, spent probably 4 hours just trying to record, you know, get a drum sound, play the bass drum for 30 minutes, and then work on the same song all day till midnight. So it was quite a shock to me that people would work that slowly when my previous experiences had only been working at the BBC and working in a much more kind of old-fashioned recording style where musicians came and they read the music and they recorded lots and lots of pieces in a very short time. Doesn't sound quite as funny now, does it?
It sounds super intriguing because that sounds like a lot to blast out 10 songs in the matter of 3 hours. That's impressive.
Yeah, it's not unusual that you could do 2 or even 3 sessions, BBC style sessions. You could record 30 songs in one day. That's not unusual. The musicians at the BBC would do that kind of thing all the time.
That's a high level of professionalism, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, you have
really
to
impressive.
be, a sight reader. You've got to be very proficient. You know, sight read and not make mistakes, play well. There's no chance to, drop in or fix something or mend something. There was no hard disk recording. There's no auto-tune. There's no editing. There wasn't even a chance to remix it. It was mixed live to stereo as you're playing. So that was it. That was the sort of the thing I grew up with.
Yeah, I think that's sounds like a good school, so to speak, to enter the music business, to enter it at a extremely high level already.
Yeah.
So yeah, we talked about the Pineapple Thief and Jacko's album. You are involved in so many projects. You just mentioned that there's also a new album from Dave Stewart and Barbara Gaskin that you've been working on for 9 years. That was that released this year as well?
I think that was released last year. I'm going to look it up as we're talking. That was last year. In fact, I think we did a launch show in London as well. And again, I've been working with Dave Stewart and Barbara Gaskin since the early 80s. Yeah, actually, it was 2018. Wow, you know, years fly by at incredible speed these days.
Even when a year doesn't go as planned as this one.
Yeah,
or
and
maybe even more so.
Yeah, and I've worked a lot this year. I thought I would have an easy year. I mean, it's this time of my life I've been busy. I didn't expect I'd be busy at this point, but you know, touring more than I ever have and recording more than I ever have. That's a good thing.
Touring more than you ever have with King Crimson up until it was not possible anymore this year. For the time being, obviously, you've been a part of King Crimson for some years now, and looking at the timeline, it was around the same time that you got involved with King Crimson that Porcupine Tree kind of finished. How was that joining you? How did it feel for you joining King Crimson back then, and how was it to play with them over the last years?
Yeah, I mean, the first time I joined King Crimson was 2008, and there was still another couple of years of another 3 years of Porcupine Tree after that.
Yeah,
it was a very short tour. I did it in the middle of a break of Porcupine Tree. It was great fun. That project fell apart. That was meant to go on a bit longer, but that project, the 2008 King Crimson, fell apart. And then 2013, Robert Fripp called me and said, you know, I've had this vision, a King Crimson with 3 drummers at the front of the stage. You know, he could already picture what it was going to look like. And on the back, 4 musicians on a riser behind, you know, no lead singer at the front in the middle, which is the usual style of 99% of all rock bands. You've got a singer at the front in the middle and they talk to the audience. And at King Crimson don't do that. There's no announcements, no one talks to the audience. So it de-emphasizes the singer as the lead person in the band. And that's quite interesting. And to put the drums at the front, you know, 3 drummers, I don't know how many bands have ever had 3 drummers. That's quite an interesting challenge. So, yeah, it was very, very different to play with King Crimson after Porcupine Tree. A very different proposition. But a good, interesting rhythmical challenge.
So how did you go about the new arrangements for 3 drummers? Leading up to the live shows when you got together.
Yeah, well, luckily I've got a studio at home, so I could try some triple drumming experiments just on my own by recording myself 3 times, and to see what kind of parts I could write and to see what I thought worked or didn't work. And then early 2014, Bill Riflin and Pat Massalotto, the other 2 drummers, came to my studio, and the 3 of us sat here trying to play some of these arrangements to see what would work and what wouldn't work. So we did a lot of rehearsals, and of course it's got to be carefully arranged and carefully choreographed so that 3 drummers don't just sound like a great big mess. It would be easy if we all just played the same thing. There'd be no point of having 3 drummers playing the same thing. So to take advantage of 3 drummers, you have to think like one drummer with 6 arms and 6 legs. and to try to use all the possibilities of the three drummers, the three different drum kits that we have, which feature very different sounds, and the three different styles of the three drummers. Some things are going to suit some of us more than others. So it was a very big lesson in arranging.
I can imagine that, but I think it's safe to say, and I can also attest to that myself, that you achieved what you set out to accomplish there. I was fortunate enough to see a King Crimson show in Stuttgart a couple of years ago. So playing live with King Crimson for 6 years now, a little bit more maybe. Do you ever think, wouldn't it be cool to finally do a new studio album with that lineup?
Yeah, everyone asked that question. Well, I don't think it's something that's going to happen very soon. It's not to say it won't happen. It might happen. I don't know. I mean, at the moment, we have missed a big tour this year that we had planned in America. We've moved it to next year, the same tour in June and July. And, it's a kind of big band. There's a lot of organization, a lot of logistics to get that band all in the same place to rehearse. It's quite difficult. In fact, on every tour, before every tour, the three drummers get together in a small studio in London, and we just rehearse, just the three drummers, because when we're in the position we are on stage, we can't even talk to each other. We're so far apart. So it's nice to get in a small room, all facing each other, and we can hear each other very clearly, and we can stop and discuss and rearrange and and rehearse as many times as we want, so that we do some individual rehearsing before we even get on the stage.
Very, very interesting insights there. Moving away from King Crimson maybe a little bit, and having a look at different projects you've been involved in the last year. Mainly, I mean, you've played on so many albums and with so many projects, but I think the one that was you as a lead person might have been the Cheating the Polygraph album in 2015, right?
That's right. I did actually make a solo album in the mid-90s, which is, long time out of print, called Sanity and Gravity. It's a very, very hard to find, rare record. Yes, Cheating the Polygraph in 2015, that was really a big project for me, and it took about 5 years to finish that record. And that, of course, was Porcupine Tree songs arranged in a sort of contemporary brass orchestra way. I'm tempted not to say big band, because people have a preconception of big band. They might think of Glenn Miller or Buddy Rich or Woody Herman or something. It's nothing like that. It uses the sound of the brass instruments in a very creative way, and the arranger Lawrence Cottle did the most amazing job with it. He was absolutely incredible.
Absolutely. And my question would be, is there anything you like with all the projects you have going on and with all the sessions you're playing, do you find time to think about maybe it's time to do something on my own again?
No, not really. I mean, the project with I like doing partnerships. I feel like the partnership with Bruce Sword and the Pineapple Thief is a very healthy, creative, happy place. The same with Antoine Fafard. It's a new relationship, really, with Antoine, from a a project point of view. And so I'm happy to keep myself busy with projects that I enjoy. I'm in a fortunate position that I don't have to do anything that's offered to me for the sake of money. So I only ever do projects that I really enjoy and I think are, musically interesting to me. For many decades I worked as a session musician, and, being a professional musician means you've got to really sort of play anything for anyone. And I did that for a very long time. But the last sort of 15 years of my life, I've tried to steer away from that and just do things that personally interest me.
That's absolutely beautiful. And coming back to the collaboration with Antoine and the upcoming album, Chemical Reactions, when I found out about it a couple of weeks ago, I remembered the name of Antoine rang a bell some way back somewhere in my head. So of course I went to Google him and his where did he come from? Where have I heard the name before? And so it turns out he was in Spaced Out, and I remember that band very well from the beginning of the 2000s, like 2004, 2005. Maybe when I was listening to Progcast radio a lot, and we had those albums were on there, and I remember enjoying them a lot. So I went on to Spotify to check out his latest solo album from last year, which was called Borromean Odyssey, and I would just put it on when I was like walking outside, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing stuff. And then I went home and I checked who else was playing on it, because the drumming and the keyboards were insane. So it turned out it was Gary Husband on keyboards and Todd Sucherman on drums. And I thought, okay, yeah, now I know where this guy comes from.
Yeah, he likes drummers.
There was one other album where you played one song on this year, a pretty well-known name in the prog metal world, Face Warning, of course. We also had Ray Alder on the Progcast already this year, a couple of weeks back. And I mean, this connection to Face Warning, I wouldn't have made like directly, like Gavin Harrison and Face Warning, but then on a second thought, of course, there was a connection through Jim and OSI, of course, the Office of Strategic Influence project you've been playing on for at least the last 2 records.
That's right, yeah.
I believe. How was that session for Face Warning? How did you get involved? And it was just that one song, right? When Snow Falls?
During the last OSI album, I think it's called Fire Make Thunder.
Yes.
I contributed some ideas, some drum ideas, which Jim Mateos and Kevin Moore wrote along with. And this Fates Warning record, earlier this year, Jim wrote to me and said, listen, I've got this drum track from you. I think it's something we were writing for the last OSI album, and I love this drum track, and I've written a song around it for Fates Warning. Is it okay if I use this drum track? And I said, absolutely. I'd be very happy for you to do that, Jim. So that's how that came about. Yes, I don't know a lot of Fates Warning stuff. I do know their drummer, and he's very, very good. But the OSI stuff, I'm just trying to think. When I did 2009 was the first one I did. It's called Blood, and I absolutely loved that record. It was fantastic. It's probably as metal as my drumming has ever been. And I didn't really do much metal drumming until I met Porcupine Tree. I played with Iggy Pop, but that was more kind of punk style. It was very heavy, loud stuff. But the OSI records, yes, it was. I really enjoyed it, and I really liked Kevin's singing as well. He's got a very unusual voice. I'm sorry we didn't ever get to play live.
Yeah, that would have been something, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So the rumor has it actually that Ray Alder, the singer of Fates Warning, kind of confirmed that the last song on the last Fates Warning album is called The Last Song, and apparently Jim is not really that much into composing music for Fates Warning anymore. So that could be the last studio album of Fates Warning. So I was wondering, when you were in contact with him, now getting to hear that you actually talked about OSI as well. Was there any mention maybe to bring that project back?
No, I think I've mentioned to Jim in the past that we should do another record. It would be great. Kevin does this thing called chroma key. Is that right?
Yeah.
And I think he's been very busy making a new chroma key album.
All right.
Of course, I've never actually met Jim or Kevin. It's extraordinary that I did 2 albums with them. I never met them, and I never spoke to them on the phone. It's a very weird relationship, but I had a lot of respect for them. I really like what they do. I love what Kevin and Jim does. So, yeah, if they want to do another record, I'm ready.
Awesome. Maybe one last question about your musical career and of course involving Porcupine Tree. So yeah, there's still a lot of fans after 10 years now that are still constantly asking about a possible reunion. Are you kind of annoyed at that time about it, or you don't?
No. I mean, people have asked me, for the last 10 years, what about Porcupine Tree? We're still friends. We still see each other. I still see Steve. He lives quite close to me. We go for lunch sometimes. Well, not so much in the last 9 months, but it's never something that we've said we'll never ever do that again. It's always in the back of our minds. So you never know what will come in the future. I mean, the world has changed so much in the last 9 months. The world's constantly changing. I would never say that's it. We're never going to do it again. And we never said it was finished. Other people told us we were finished. Plenty of people have told me, so Porcupine Tree are finished. And I say, really? No one's told me. I've never heard that from, Steve, Richard, or Colin. So it was just something we put on hold, and then the hold got longer and longer and longer. We went off doing other things. I did so many other things since then, and I'm sure, the other guys have as well, and Steve's had a solo career in the meantime. It's not something that I would completely discount.
Yeah, now that you mention it, I'm thinking about last time I saw Colin, and it was actually with his this project that he has with Pat Mastelotto and the 2 Italian guys. The name eludes me right now. But yeah, I saw them live, and that was also a very cool project.
They're called ORK.
Yeah, right, ORK. ORK. Yeah. Yes, that's it. Thank you for all these interesting insights into your career and into your projects and into your approach to music. We have one little section that we like to close our episodes with, and that section is actually called "What's in Your Walkman." That's where we like to ask our guests if there's anything they've listened to lately, stood out that they want to share or recommend to their fans and to our listeners.
What's in your Walkman? You're going to have to be at least 40 years old to know what a Walkman is. But yes, I do know what a Walkman is. What have I been listening to? Well, that's a good question. I tend to listen to things that, inspire me. I listen to a lot of Lewis Taylor. If you're familiar with Lewis Taylor, he hasn't worked as Lewis Taylor, I think, in about 15 years. Very, very talented guy. What have I been enjoying? Peter Gabriel album called PG, rated PG. I love Peter Gabriel. It always comes up with the right melody, that guy. It's just extraordinary. I don't know, I don't buy lots of new music. I tend to go back and listen to things that I think I listen to a lot of music for comfort. And so I go back to albums that, I love of Kate Bush or Peter Gabriel or David Bowie, or lots of jazz records that I grew up listening to. And I think the new music things I probably discover on YouTube when I'm just, browsing around. I'll start off with, I don't know, Thundercat or something, and then it will lead on to Snarky Puppy, and then it will lead on to, I don't know. I just kind of go round in circles, and some things I like, some things I don't like. It's a sort of shop window where you just browse new things or old things and rare things. It's quite fascinating. But in terms of what's in my Walkman, lots and lots and lots of old shit, really. Things I've listened to a million times and still love listening to. Yeah, some of it's comfort. It brings back such fantastic memories of moments in your life when you were listening to Stevie Wonder or Earth, Wind and Fire or whatever. It depends on your mood. Usually, because I work, at new music, writing new music all the time, I don't try to get influence from other new music. I tend to find influence in old music that I've already enjoyed, and I try to work out what it was I always loved about it and see if I can make that the influence.
Very interesting approach again. I also got a lot of things in my Walkman, of course. I don't have that much time to go back to all my old loves, so to speak, as I'm constantly checking what's the newest shit out there and who is releasing new albums. And there's one album this year which was a really cool project, I think spearheaded by Jonas Reingold, called The Backstage, called Isolation, also with Pat Mastalotto on some tracks. So that's a really cool listen in the fusion, proggy fusion vein. And another insane drum pick from me from a recent release would be the Dirty Loops EP Phoenix, which is just insane stuff.
Yeah, I like Dirty Loops. Great.
So
I met the bass player a few times. He came to a King Crimson show, and he came to a Pineapple Thief show.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, really nice guy.
Yeah, I remember they played, I think when they released their first album a couple of years back, they were supporting some other bigger artists, and I remember they played in Munich, but for some reason I couldn't or didn't go, and I'm still bummed out that I didn't make myself go. Now I hope, we all hope that things are gonna go back to a new normal, whatever that means, but
Sure.
somehow that live concerts will be able to go forward again, that would be great. And then I would love to see Dirty Loops live.
Yeah.
And all right, thank you so much, Gavin, for taking the time and enlightening us here at the Progcast with your insights.
Okay, thanks for having me.
As always, for our listeners, thank you for listening, and take care of yourselves, take care of your loved ones, and listen to great music.
The Progcast is a production of Stuus Media and is presented by the Prog Space. It is produced by Randy M. Salo, Janine Stengel-Lewis, Blake Lewis, and Dario Albrecht. Our theme music is by This Is Not an Elephant, and Van Kirsch does our graphics. New episodes of the Progcast drop every Monday and Thursday, and don't miss our Friday Top 5 episode where we discuss our favorite new releases from that week. For more interviews and reviews in the written form, check out theprogspace.com.